You're about to read a very personal story of my life that will give you goosebumps. It is by far the strangest experience I have ever had. It happened about 10 days ago, and I still feel as if I am in a nightmare. In fact, I had never told anyone about anything, and all I wanted was an outlet. The channel will continue to be updated with more cheating stories in the future if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. I would like to introduce myself as James and my ex-wife Rebecca to you. As a lawyer, my ex-wife was also a colleague of mine in law firm, but we both were also in our final years of our studies. We were classmates in the same class. Since Rebecca was a struggling student, she always confided in me about the problems she was facing. It was not possible for her parents to support her while she studied, so she worked part-time to support herself. Thus, it was through my efforts that I was able to get her a job in my stepfather's company, owing to my efforts. I lost my father a decade ago, and my mother remarried to my stepfather a year after my father had passed away. Because of this, he was able to provide us with care. It was evident that he was a kind and compassionate individual who was always willing to help others in need. I have never felt that my stepfather made me feel as if I was his stepson at any point in my life. In any case, he always supports me in every aspect of my life, whether it be physically or mentally. Hence, Rebecca and I were very attached from the very beginning. In times of crisis, I was always there for her. We also liked each other a lot. The way it's like we dated for about 4 years during all the time we were studying for our degree. In some ways, we were able to complete the degree. So I made the decision to get married to Rebecca as soon as possible. In her opinion, however, she needs a little bit of time to prepare. As per her request, I agreed to do so. It seemed that after she got her job, her attitude started changing, as if she became more and more materialistic after that. This was quite obvious for a person who always faced difficulties in her life and had to compromise on all of her wishes. Nevertheless, I have always talked to her about the importance of being modest and not being materialistic. Having waited 7 months for her to get married, she told me now that she was ready to get married. During that time, with the help of my stepfather, I was also working in one of the biggest law firms in the city. I earned a handsome salary as a result of my work. Therefore, we got married according to our wishes. So it was a happy event of both of us. The truth of the matter is that no one knows why Rebecca left her job despite the fact that she was getting a handsome salary with even more incentives. She did not ask me because I was earning as much as I could bear all of my expenses, so I did not ask her. Besides that, I had a lot of support from my father since I was the only child of my parents. Despite the fact that he was my stepfather, everything was mine. Even my father insisted that I take over the company. However, I chose to practice the law since it was my profession and my passion. There was a big mansion owned by my stepfather in which we lived for a while. There were now 3 of us living in the same house, my father and me, as well as my wife Rebecca. There was no problem at all. In addition to this, I was happy because Rebecca was happy, and she had a life that she had always dreamed about living. As a result of the demand from Rebecca on Fiji Island, we also visited honeymoon. It was a very happy moment for us. It was also my stepdad who liked Rebecca very much and always had a great appreciation for how she struggled and how she eventually got to where she is today. It was clear from the beginning that they both liked each other's personalities, and Rebecca was very honest with him from the start. As might be expected, she might have been an ex-employee of the company at the time. My mistake was to be blinded by the love she showed me. I was completely swept away by it. The fact that she was making a grand plan for all of us was not even a hint. I have already mentioned that she was very honest with my stepfather. It is always a pleasure to hear from them, talk, laugh, and discuss other matters with one another. As far as I was concerned, I was looking at both of them as my daughter and father-in-law, but I was mistaken in regards to their relationship. There was a prominent problem when I got back home after a long absence and went to the room of my father to get her files as he had instructed me to do. Due to this, I found a hair clip belonging to Rebecca on his bed. Although I found it very strange, I ignored it because I was in a hurry to bring the files to my dad's office, so I ignored it and departed from the room as soon as I could. As soon as I got home that night after working all day that day, I went to bed. Despite my tiredness, Rebecca wanted to go to a restaurant for dinner as she was hungry. The first thing I thought I should do was refuse, but then I thought she would be upset if I refused. Therefore, I agreed and went to the dinner. I noticed her hairs while having dinner, and I remembered that my eye had seen her hair clip on my father's bed. After asking her, she said that she did not know, but she couldn't face me while telling me as if she was nervous or something. The music then started playing and she asked me to dance with her, so we got up and danced together. There was a lot of happiness in Rebecca's eyes that night. In addition to that, I also became fresh because of her. That night was a very enjoyable night for both of us. We had sex after getting back home, and that was such a joyful experience for us. The hair clip has slipped my mind. At night while I was sleeping, I was able to open my eyes in the middle of the night as I was drifting off to sleep. Rebecca was nowhere to be found in the room, so I got up and walked outside of the room, calling her name and calling my father's name, and suddenly she walked out of the room. I noticed there was sweat on her face as well, and her nightsuit was also a little bit open, so I asked her what was wrong with her and why she was in my father's room. She said that he had back pain, so he called me for some medication from medical box. I thought that was strange because it was clear that he was in pain and he did not tell me to come and give him medication if he was in pain. Since my stepdad thought you were so tired after a very busy day, I did not want to disturb your sleep, so I told Rebecca that I did not want to disturb your sleep. In spite of that event, I ignored it and went to sleep, due to the fact that I cannot imagine the dirty game that she was playing with me. As a result, I fell asleep right away. There was another event that took place that was unusual. She was unemployed for 9 months, or in other words, she was unwilling to work because she had everything she needed. After a short while, I was shocked to learn that she had joined my father's company as a legal advisor. Apparently, it was fine, but my father did not ask me to join as a lawyer, but he hired my wife to work as a lawyer instead. It has always been his insistence that I take over the company in order to run it. It was a heavy event for her, but in the same breath, it was a bit surprising for me as well. It is sad to see that even though she once told me that she did not want to do job anymore, she suddenly joined the company without even telling me anything about it. My appreciation for her, however, goes a long way. Throughout the course of time, Rebecca's attitude towards me grew worse and worse. Whenever she was in the company of my father, she always spent the majority of her time with him. As they went on, they began to come along with them. As far as I was concerned, they were getting too close to each other. It appeared that she did not care about me at all and did not show any signs of being concerned about me at all. I was never once asked about the status of my health by her once I became sick. I was shocked since she was a very caring wife, but what happened now? I was really annoyed by that. It's not even clear to me why she was doing all that. Every time she received a call, she got up and moved to another room. It felt as if she was not interested in me listening to her. Although I respected her privacy, there were 4 times when she did this over the course of a few days. In that case, I became suspicious. Once, even when she was talking to her phone, and I arrived suddenly and she stopped talking and said to the phone that she would talk to me later. It was evident from her behavior on that day that she was doing something wrong against me. My decision was to begin spying on her as soon as possible. It took me a few days to fit a few spy cameras and microphone to discover what she was doing. After checking the recordings a few days later, I found something that completely shocked me. My whole body got shaken as a result of listening to that. It did not even occur to me that she would be a selfish and fraud woman. There was a conversation between her and someone else about the progress of the plan that she was working on. She said now that father is under my control and that the documents are ready. I will get the signature very soon and he'll be thrown out of the house. As far as everything is concerned, I will own it all. As soon as I finished listening to that, I watched the other recordings that was made by the camera. As a result, I discovered that she had slept with my stepfather. It was the biggest shame that I had to deal with at that time. I was not even thought of committing such a shameful act by my father. As difficult as it was for me to see the truth, I had to do so. There were now no doubt in my mind about the nasty plan of Rebecca. I have taken all the recordings and thoughts, and it is time to take the stand and expose her. It took me a long time to wait for both of them. In spite of the fact that Rebecca came after 2 hours, my stepfather had not yet come. It was my turn to wait for him. In the middle of the midnight, he came at 11:55 p.m. As soon as he came in, I told him that there was something I wanted to show him. My strange tone of voice was noted by him. I was asked what had happened by him. I then told Rebecca to come. I had something to show her. Then she came. I brought my laptop with me, and I played the recordings in front of them. Despite the fact that both of them were extremely emphasized, Rebecca started saying that there is something wrong that she will be able to explain. It is not something I want to do. The recording was also shocking to my father, even though he was more shocked about Rebecca's plan than about the recording itself. Rebecca was told that she should leave the house and she would receive divorce papers within a few days from now. It was only when she shared my pleading and crying that I gave her a chance, but I did not listen to what she was saying. It was also my father who apologized to me for my actions. In the end, I managed to get her out of the house after all. I also moved to a new place within the next 2 days. As a result, I was unable to face my father, who had committed such a crime. There was no question that my stepdad and my wife were both guilty of what they did. 9 months later, I sent Rebecca the divorce papers. It is unknown where she is at the moment, but I recall listening to her last time my father filed a case against her, alleging fraud against her. Since then, my stepdad has begged that I forgive him and come home with him, but I am unable to do so because of what he did to me when I was a child. There is no way I want to think about him anymore. I wanted to live my life alone, without my own limits and by myself. I don't even have a concern about either of them, so I don't even think about them. Both were my closest one and both cheated on me. I looked like an asshole in front of them.